Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you today about something that eats away at the soul like rust on iron. It's a silent destroyer, a subtle thief of joy and purpose. It's called jealousy. Now, jealousy isn't just a feeling, it's a condition of the heart. The Bible tells us in Proverbs 14:30, a heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Jealousy can twist a man's thoughts, poison a woman's words, and hold back the blessing that God intends for your life. And have you noticed? Jealous people always say certain words. They're not just words of opinion. They are words that reveal the pain in their own hearts. Words like, they just got lucky, or let's see how long that lasts, or anyone could do that if they had what you had. But my friends, those words don't come from a place of truth. They come from a place of spiritual poverty. And today we're going to shine a light on those words, expose the spirit behind them, and talk about how you can rise above it. Not with bitterness, but with grace, humility, and purpose. Jealousy speaks through criticism, not truth. It wears a mask, often disguising itself as casual remarks, sarcastic comments, or even well-meant advice. But underneath those words is a root of insecurity, fear, and comparison. When people are jealous, they usually won't admit it, not to you, and not even to themselves. Instead, they'll find ways to critique what you're doing, how you're doing it, or why they think you don't deserve it. Their criticism is rarely about you. It's a mirror of their own pain. You could be doing something wonderful, something life-changing, something that took years of prayer, discipline, and courage. And a jealous person won't see the process. They won't acknowledge the sacrifice or the sleepless nights. They'll look at your fruit and say it came from nowhere. They'll say, it's not that impressive, or anybody could do that, or they probably had help. Not because it's true, but because jealousy can't handle growth that didn't include them. Jealousy speaks from a place that says, why not me? And instead of seeking inspiration, it seeks to invalidate. The voice of jealousy is critical, not constructive. It doesn't build, it tears down. It doesn't ask, how did you do that? It declares you probably didn't earn that. It rarely says things to your face directly. More often it will speak behind your back, hoping to recruit others into the same spirit of discontent. It will question your motives, your worth, and your methods. Not based on facts, but based on feelings. Feelings of being left behind, overlooked, or unseen. What we must understand is that jealousy uses criticism as a weapon. It's not about offering honest feedback to help someone grow. It's about projecting inner conflict onto others. A person who is content with themselves doesn't waste time tearing others down. But someone who is battling self-worth, someone who is unsure of their own path, will find it easier to criticize yours. And the more successful, confident, or joyful you become, the more they feel the need to find fault. Jealousy doesn't like excellence. It doesn't applaud progress. It doesn't congratulate breakthrough. It seeks to dilute and discredit it. When someone sees you rising, they are reminded of where they are not. And instead of letting that inspire them, it bruises their ego. So they speak not out of clarity, but out of emotional fog. They throw words not as observations, but as stones, hoping they will hit something that hurts. But hear this clearly, their words are not truth. Their criticisms are not the final verdict on your life. Just because someone says, you're too much, not ready, or doing it for the wrong reasons, doesn't mean they see clearly. In fact, they might be speaking through a lens that's been fogged up by envy for years. That fog distorts. It twists motives, paints shadows where there is light, and questions what is solid. It's not the voice of wisdom, it's the voice of wounded pride. When you hear the criticisms of jealous people, it's important to listen with spiritual discernment. Ask yourself, is this coming from love or is this coming from comparison? Because love corrects with compassion. Love doesn't tear you down to feel better. Love celebrates your win, even if it's still waiting for its own. Jealousy can't do that. Jealousy's too busy counting your blessings instead of its own. This is why it's dangerous to take every opinion to heart. Not every voice deserves a seat at your table. Some people speak not to guide you, but to distract you. And if you're not careful, you'll start doubting what God has already confirmed in your spirit. You'll start holding back because someone else couldn't handle your momentum. You'll start shrinking to fit into a version of yourself that keeps others comfortable. Jealousy wants you to slow down, not because you're wrong, but because you're doing something right. It's not your weakness that bothers them, it's your strength. It's not your confusion, it's your clarity. It's not your failure, it's your favor. You remind them of what they could be doing, and that reminder is uncomfortable, so they'll criticize, hoping to clip your wings before you fly any higher. But don't let criticism rooted in jealousy redefine your worth. Their words may be loud, but they are not lasting. They may be clever, but they are not wise. Criticism from a jealous heart will never lead you toward truth. It will only try to pull you away from your purpose. Envy disguises itself as concern or advice. This is one of the most deceptive tactics jealousy uses, and it's important to recognize when this is happening. It's easy to think that someone is looking out for you when in fact they are simply trying to control your narrative or diminish your success. Often, the jealous individual will cloak their negative feelings in a form that seems harmless, even supportive. They'll say things like, "I'm just worried about you," or "Have you really thought this through?" or "Maybe you should be more careful." On the surface, these statements might appear to be wise counsel or genuine concern. But if we look closely, they are often veiled attempts to undermine your confidence, instill doubt, and pull you back into their comfort zone of complacency. The person who is truly concerned for your well-being will ask questions with an open heart, offer guidance based on experience, and encourage you to keep moving forward. The jealous person, on the other hand, will offer advice that's clouded by their own insecurities. They might try to plant seeds of fear in your mind, hoping that you'll second-guess yourself and stop pursuing the dreams or goals that make them feel threatened. The truth is, they are not offering advice out of a place of love or wisdom, but from a place of personal discomfort with your success. They're not interested in your well-being. They're interested in keeping you on their level where they feel safe. This kind of advice often comes with a thinly veiled warning. It might sound like concern, but underneath it is an attempt to limit your potential. When you tell someone about a new opportunity or a new direction you're taking in life, and their immediate response is to say, "Be careful, that sounds risky," or "Do you really think it's a good idea?" They are not truly concerned for you. They are speaking from their own fear and inability to imagine themselves in your shoes. Jealous people are often risk-averse because they've never stepped out of their own comfort zone. So when they see someone else doing so, they feel the need to intervene, usually with well-meaning but ultimately discouraging words. This false concern can take many forms. It might come in the shape of cautionary tales or horror stories of people who tried something and failed. They may share their own failures, hoping to make you feel that success is elusive and dangerous. The idea is to instill a sense of hesitation in you They want you to doubt yourself, to question whether you have what it takes to succeed. They will present their experiences or the experiences of others as the only possible outcome, limiting your view of the opportunities ahead. The danger here is that their experiences are colored by their own fears, not by any real insight into your situation or capabilities. Sometimes this advice even comes in the form of sounding helpful. A jealous person may suggest alternative paths, telling you that there are other ways to achieve your goals. But what they often mean is that their way is the only safe way. They may tell you that you should take the traditional route, or that you should consider the opinions of others before making decisions. This kind of advice may seem like it's about finding a more secure or stable path, but it's actually designed to make you second-guess your choices and pull back from the very thing that excites you. The jealous individual would rather see you settle for something less than your full potential than watch you chase your dreams and soar. The problem with this kind of advice is that it doesn't come from a place of personal growth or personal experience. It comes from a place of limitation. The person offering it often hasn't taken risks themselves, so they project their own limitations onto you. They speak not from a place of encouragement, but from a place of fear. Their words are a reflection of their own inability to see beyond their current situation. And they cannot fathom stepping out into the unknown. Therefore, they try to convince you not to do it either. In some cases, this false concern is even more insidious. Jealous people may pretend to offer support by acknowledging your success, but still find ways to dismiss it or make it feel less significant. They may say, "I'm happy for you, but I think you need to be careful with that success." The "but" in that sentence is a clear indicator that they don't truly celebrate your victory. They are offering a backhanded compliment disguised as caution. They want to remind you consciously or unconsciously that your success is somehow incomplete, fragile, or not to be trusted. And this can be incredibly disorienting for you as the person receiving the advice. It can create doubt where there was once certainty, confusion where there was once clarity. When someone's advice is cloaked in concern but filled with undercurrents of negativity or fear, you must learn to tune out the noise and recognize their true motives. While they may present themselves as someone who's looking out for your best interests, their true intent is often to slow your progress, to keep you from stepping into your greatness. The important thing is to evaluate the advice not only by what is said, but by the spirit in which it is given. Does it encourage you to grow, take risks, and move forward? Or does it make you hesitant, cautious, and second-guessing your every step? True advice comes from a place of love, respect, and belief in your ability to succeed. False concern comes from a place of fear, limitation, and a desire to pull you back to where they feel comfortable. When you can distinguish between the two, you'll find yourself better equipped to navigate the voices that surround you, whether they come from jealousy or genuine support. The words of the jealous reflect their limitation, not your potential. This is one of the most important truths you must grasp when dealing with the voices of envy and criticism. The words they speak, the judgments they make, and the comments they throw your way are not a reflection of your capabilities or your future. They are a reflection of where they are, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. What they say about you is less about you and more about them. And the sooner you realize this, the easier it will be to separate your self-worth from the opinions of those who may be struggling with their own internal battles. When a jealous person criticizes you, or belittles your success, it's important to understand that these words are rooted in their own limitations. They aren't speaking from a place of insight or truth, but from a place of insecurity. They are projecting their own fears, doubts, and unfulfilled desires onto you. Their criticisms often stem from their inability to see beyond their current circumstances. They may feel trapped in their own lives, unable to take the risks or make the changes necessary to improve their situation. Seeing you step out, thrive, and achieve what they've dreamed of but never pursued can create a deep sense of discomfort in them. Instead of finding inspiration in your journey, they see it as a reminder of their own unfulfilled potential, and they lash out with words that seek to diminish yours. One of the most painful aspects of dealing with jealous people is that their words are designed to create doubt within you. When someone criticizes you, they are trying to plant seeds of self-doubt, often without even realizing it. They might say, "You're being too ambitious," or "You're setting yourself up for failure," or even, "This won't last." These words don't reflect any objective truth about your abilities. They reflect the limitations of the person speaking them. What they're really saying is, "I can't imagine myself doing what you're doing, so it's not possible." They are projecting their own inability to move forward or pursue big dreams onto you, hoping you will be discouraged or deterred by their negativity. The key to handling this kind of criticism is to recognize that their words are a mirror of their own internal struggles, not a reflection of your potential. A person who is confident in their own journey and secure in their own success doesn't feel the need to tear others down. They understand that someone else's achievements do not diminish their own value or chances for success. It's only the insecure, the ones who feel they've been left behind or who feel they lack the ability to succeed, who resort to putting others down in an attempt to make themselves feel better. Their criticism is not a valid reflection of your worth or abilities, but rather a cry for help, an expression of their own limitation. Another important thing to recognize is that these jealous individuals often have a distorted view of success. They measure success based on their own experiences, values, and achievements or lack thereof. And when they see someone else succeeding in ways that they haven't, it challenges their worldview. They may think, "If they can do it, why can't I?" But instead of using that thought as a source of inspiration or motivation, they turn it into resentment. Instead of thinking, "If they can do it, so can I," they think, "If they can do it, it must be a fluke or a result of circumstances beyond their control." This kind of thinking doesn't open the door to self-reflection or growth. It closes it. And it blinds them to the possibility of their own success. The jealousy that fuels these types of criticisms is also often based on comparison. Jealous individuals tend to measure their worth against the accomplishments of others, instead of understanding that success is not a zero-sum game. When they see you achieving something that they long for, they don't see it as proof that success is possible for anyone. They see it as a reminder of their own perceived failures. And so they criticize, dismiss, or downplay your accomplishments as a way of managing their own envy. They want to convince themselves that your success is not as significant as it appears because deep down they feel threatened by it. In reality, their criticism is just a reflection of the fact that they've allowed themselves to be trapped in a cycle of comparison, feeling like they're falling short every time they look at someone else's progress. It's also essential to recognize that people who are jealous may not always be consciously aware of the harm they're doing. Their words are often fueled by unconscious feelings of inadequacy and frustration, which they don't know how to express constructively. Instead of acknowledging their own limitations or insecurities, they project those feelings onto others, believing that by tearing someone down, they can elevate themselves. But in reality, this only further entrenches their own limitations. The more they criticize and judge others, the more they solidify their own belief that success is something they cannot attain. This understanding allows you to develop a sense of compassion for the jealous individuals in your life. While their words are hurtful and frustrating, it's important to see them for what they are: expressions of pain, fear, and limitation. And while it's not your responsibility to fix their mindset or change their perspective, you can choose not to internalize their words. Their criticism does not define your worth. Their limitations do not define your potential. When you recognize that the jealousy behind their words is not about you, but about their own struggles, it becomes much easier to let their opinions roll off your back without letting them affect your self-esteem or confidence. In the end, the words of jealous people are a reflection of where they are, not where you are going. When you're secure in your purpose, rooted in your faith, and confident in the path you're walking, the criticisms of others become less impactful. They may come, but they will not define you. Your potential is not determined by the limitations of others. Respond with grace, not retaliation. When faced with jealousy, criticism, or negativity, it's easy to feel the urge to fight back or defend yourself. After all, no one enjoys being misjudged or belittled, especially when the criticism is rooted in someone else's insecurities. But the true power lies not in retaliation, but in responding with grace. Grace is the ability to rise above the pettiness, the harsh words, and the negativity, and maintain your peace and integrity regardless of the circumstances. It's a practice of self-restraint and maturity that not only protects your spirit, but also sets a higher standard for how you interact with others. When we retaliate in anger or frustration, we lower ourselves to the level of the person who is criticizing us. We allow their negativity to dictate how we respond, and in doing so, we lose control over our emotions and actions. Responding with grace, however, is about maintaining your dignity and not allowing the actions or words of others to determine your response. It's choosing to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively. It's about understanding that while you cannot control the behavior of others, you can control how you respond to it. Grace is not weakness, it is strength. It requires emotional maturity to respond with kindness and understanding when someone has wronged you or made an unfair judgment. It's easy to snap back when someone is rude or envious. It's easy to lash out with harsh words and accusations. But that's not the way of someone who is truly confident in who they are. Grace comes from a place of inner peace, where you recognize that your worth is not determined by the opinions of others. When you respond with grace, you show the world that you are secure in your identity and that no amount of criticism or negativity can shake your confidence. One of the most important things to remember when dealing with jealousy is that the person who is criticizing you may not be acting from a place of rationality or understanding. Often their words are fueled by their own fears, insecurities, and limitations. They may be jealous of your success or envious of your achievements. And instead of looking inward to address their own feelings, they project their anger and frustration outward. Retaliating in kind only escalates the situation and perpetuates a cycle of negativity. When you respond with grace, however, you break that cycle. You refuse to engage in the drama and conflict that they are trying to create. Instead, you stand firm in your values and let your actions speak louder than their words. Grace also allows you to maintain your peace. When you retaliate, you invite chaos into your own life. You give the jealous person power over you by letting their words affect your emotions and actions. The more you retaliate, the more you allow them to control your thoughts and your energy. Responding with grace, on the other hand, protects your peace. It allows you to rise above the negativity and stay focused on what truly matters, your growth, your purpose, and your goals. When you choose grace, you are making a conscious decision to not let their negativity disturb your inner calm. Responding with grace also demonstrates a level of empathy and understanding. Instead of fighting fire with fire, you recognize that the jealous person may be struggling with their own issues. They may not even be fully aware of the harm they are causing. By responding with kindness, you create an opportunity for healing. You may not be able to change their heart or their mindset, but you can certainly influence the dynamic. Sometimes the best way to diffuse a tense situation is to respond in a way that disarms the other person. Not by matching their negativity, but by offering something better, something higher. Your grace can serve as a powerful example of how to handle conflict in a way that elevates everyone involved. Furthermore, when you respond with grace, you demonstrate that you are above the petty judgments of others. Jealousy and criticism are often rooted in envy and bitterness. And when you engage in retaliation, you feed into that same bitterness. By choosing to respond with grace, you show that you are not concerned with proving yourself to others. You are not interested in getting into a battle over who is right or wrong. Instead, you are focused on your own path and your own growth. This mindset not only protects your peace, but also allows you to move forward without being bogged down by negativity. It reminds you that your journey is yours alone, and that other people's opinions, especially those driven by jealousy, hold no weight in the face of your purpose. Responding with grace also fosters a positive environment around you. In a world where criticism, jealousy, and negativity seem to abound, your grace can be a refreshing change. It can inspire others to respond in kind, creating a ripple effect of kindness and understanding. When people see you handle adversity with grace, they are more likely to follow your example. You set a tone for how others treat you and how they treat each other. Grace is contagious, and by demonstrating it, you contribute to creating a culture of respect and support. One of the most powerful aspects of responding with grace is that it allows you to maintain your sense of self-worth. The words of jealous people may sting, but they do not define you. Your worth is not based on how others perceive you, but on who you are and what you stand for. When you respond with grace, you reinforce your sense of value and integrity. You show yourself and the world that no matter what others say or do, you are grounded in your own truth. This inner strength is what will carry you through the challenges and setbacks, and it will make you all the more resilient in the face of adversity. Finally, responding with grace allows you to move forward without being held back by negativity. When you engage in retaliation or let jealousy affect you, you risk becoming stuck in a cycle of bitterness and anger. You can lose sight of your goals and allow the opinions of others to shape your actions. But when you respond with grace, you are free to continue on your path, unburdened by resentment. You can rise above the drama, stay focused on your purpose, and continue to grow and thrive without letting the envy of others hinder your progress. In conclusion, the journey to success is often met with the voices of jealousy and criticism, but it is how we respond that defines us. Jealous people may try to undermine us with their words, projecting their limitations onto our potential. They may cloak their envy in concern or advice, but we must see it for what it truly is, an expression of their own fears and insecurities. In these moments, we must remember that their words reflect not our worth, but their inability to see beyond their own struggles. The key to overcoming such negativity lies in how we respond. By choosing grace over retaliation, we rise above the petty comments, protecting our peace and staying focused on our purpose. In doing so, we not only maintain our integrity, but also become a beacon of strength and inspiration to those around us. When we respond with grace, we show the world that our value is not defined by the opinions of others, but by the purpose and passion we carry within. Let us continue to walk forward with confidence, knowing that no amount of jealousy can deter us from the path we are destined to walk.